If you can't decide if you like that intro or not, you ain't alive.
It's like I almost feel like Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights. If
Yeah,
you don't like that intro, fuck you.
exactly. For real. Original
I
line in the
literally
movie.
sit here and I'm like this the whole
Yeah, I
time,
love
every
it. I
time.
love it. Can I say we're tooting our own horn? That's what we got. I mean, that's really the best part of the show. We should just play that on loop, and then people would probably like our show a lot more. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Just like
What's up?
have you on one side and just have that on loop in the other
Oh, that would be
box
the
there
ideal
instead of
show,
me.
but you said you wanted to be on here talking involved, so here we are.
Here we are.
Sorry about you.
Albert
Got old
Albert
faithful.
Orgay.
Love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. All right. So tonight we are talking about.
Ooh,
Oh, we
now we
got
got
Derryberry
Derryberry.
too. Look at that. What's up? Tonight we're
Derryberry
going to talk
Yankees.
about crowded backfields and wide receiving cores, because all of a sudden there's quite a few of them, and nothing really worse than a crowded backfield or wide receiving core in fantasy football. It gets confusing pretty quick and kind of difficult to make those choices. So, anyways, we'll discuss that a little bit further tonight. Kyle, anything you want to say to that before we get started?
I mean, it's just, hopefully we can kind of help you guide you through some of the murk after the draft and free agency and kind of see, what there's a few teams that fall in both categories, receivers and running backs.
No joke, no joke. If you got any
um,
guesses on who some of those might be, throw them in the chat and we'll
yeah,
see if you are correct. With that
yeah.
being said, I want to unveil before we get started here. New to the show tonight is our boomer bust scale.
It just boomed me in the face.
Boom, right in the face. Okay, Kyle, that's more of
Get
a
my
private.
face.
That's a private matter. You shouldn't say that.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Hopefully, everyone in watching is at least 18, so we don't get in trouble for that one. Um, anywho, so we'll try to rate these guys on our boom bust scale here throughout the show, so that you guys can see where we think they land. All right, Kyle, you ready to get started?
Yeah, I mean, we got Albert and Daniel over here. I got a whole list of teams we can talk about, but let's see if they got one they want to talk
Yeah, you
about
guys.
specifically first.
No doubt, no doubt. I'm up for talking about whoever they want to hear about first,
First one to throw out a team.
and which position:
Yeah, in which position?
wide receiver or running back.
Don't leave us hanging, fellas.
No, all right,
No,
we're going on our own.
we already know you're there.
Yep, going on our own. Kyle. Oh, here we
All
go.
right. Oh,
Dolphins backfield. That's the number one on everybody's mind.
well, what's funny is on the little game that you had a moment ago, as guess which team is on both lists. Well, if you had Dolphins, you get 1 point
Yep.
because they are one of them.
Yeah,
Um,
they're gross, and
the Dolphins' backfield is already bad, and then it got worse last week. So they already had Gaskin going into the offseason. They sign was it a sign or a trade for Edmonds? Anyways, they acquire Chase Edmonds.
I think they just signed him.
Everybody's excited. Oh my God, Chase Edmonds finally gets to be a workhorse. Blah 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 blah. Dynasty owners rejoice. Chase Edmonds, woo! Let's grab Mostert too. Shit. Mostert is now going to go from being a thorn in San Fran's side to a thorn in Miami's side. And I mean, I know he's only going to play 2 games and then sit out the rest of the year. But then that's probably why they went and also signed Sony freaking Michel to add one more stinking running back to this backfield.
Okay, so
It's
that is
lots to unpack there.
that's a muddy little mess, but you kind of already touched on it. Let's go ahead and talk about Mostert. So he was the third one in the backfield, the second one added in the offseason. I think you kind of already touched on it. Mostert's good. He's a good running back. Let's not get that wrong. But he doesn't stay healthy ever. And I mean, he's 30 years old too, right? So they obviously brought him in for a veteran presence at 30 years old, never healthy. They said he expects to play week 1, which means there's not really a guarantee on that. So it's a mess. So not really reliable. And to me, he's just kind of brought in just kind of as a backup option, security blanket. They're not even sure if he's going to be playing week 1. It sounds like they're probably not counting on him.
Well, and he's got experience with that coach. Mike McDaniel came from San Francisco, where Mostert came from. So he's got experience in that system. So if nothing else, I think they brought him in to be kind of a veteran presence to help the other guys kind of learn how to play and succeed in that system, especially Edmonds. If he can come in and mentor Edmonds in that system, Edmonds could be very legit.
Oh, I agree. So let's see. Mostert on a boomer bust scale for you. Or do you want me to go first on this?
Well, I also want to say, I want to add something. I didn't know you were going to that already, or I was just going to let you
just for Mostert
chat up there for a minute, because when they signed Mostert, everybody assumed, oh, they brought this guy in to be the starter, and I really don't think that's the case. I think they brought him in to be change of pace, complimentary guy. I still think Edmonds is going to be the number 1 guy. So Mostert, for the games he's healthy, will be kind of a change of pace, and when he's out, it'll be Michelle. So
yeah, I figured we'd talk about those other guys after we were done.
I'm just talking about the backfield as a whole.
Yeah. So I agree over here with Derry Berry. Edmonds has the contract for playing time. Mostert and Michelle got that.
Monster Michelle.
So I agree.
He kind of is a monster. He's every running back owner's nightmare.
Yeah. So I'm going to give Mostert, let's see if I can point on this. Ooh, look at that. I'm just pointing out in the middle of nowhere.
I'm pointing the wrong way.
Yep.
This backwards thing is tricky.
Yeah, I know. It is. And now I'm pointing out here. I'm going to say Mostert. Like, would I draft him? Would I roster him? I'm going to put him actually down here at like a 3. I'm going with a 3 for Mostert because he's not going to stay healthy. I think he's just one of multiple backups, but I don't trust him enough to have a roster spot on him unless I have Edmonds. If I have Edmonds, then I'm probably bumping him up more to a 5 just as a decent handcuff. What do you think?
Yeah, for me, he's like a 2 if I don't have Edmonds. I'm not going to try to figure out this backwards.
I know. I was just having fun with it.
If I don't have Edmonds, he's probably a 2. If I do, he's maybe a 3. Because, I mean, like you say, with his health issues all the time, I really don't expect him to be available even as a handcuff most of the season. I'd rather have Michelle as a handcuff than Mostert.
I figured I'd say that when we got to Michelle.
We're talking about him as a whole. So let's just roll into Michelle then. So Michelle, for me, he's more of a 3 probably by himself, but then bumps up to a 4 or 5 if I have Edmonds. I'd much rather have Michelle as a handcuff than Mostert at this point, just because I really don't expect Mostert to stay healthy. Every year he gets hurt, and every year people tease him about it, and every year it's like, oh, well, maybe this is the year he can stay healthy. Maybe it's just been fluky, and every year he proves right and gets hurt and misses games. So honestly, like unless I'm just absolutely desperate for a late round dart throw type thing, like I don't want Mostert. I'd rather have Michelle.
No, I actually agree with that. I think Sony Michel, obviously a little bit younger. I think he showed last year that he was still capable
Yeah.
of being in that complementary role. So I think he's definitely a more valuable handcuff than
Mm.
Mostert, more durable probably too. So um yeah, I'm definitely going Sony Michel over Mostert. Where did you say you ranked him on the Boombust scale here?
Maybe a 3 if I don't have Edmonds. Maybe more like a 4 if I do.
Yeah, I was thinking I think I may have given Mostert a little bit too high because again, I'm not I said 3, I was kind of being nice. I was plus my finger won't reach all the way down to the 2. So I went the lowest on my screen I could go, which was a 3. You're probably more right on that. I'd say a 2-4 on Mostert and probably like a 3-5 for Sony Michel. 5 being if you have Edmonds, he's a
Yeah.
okay backup. But now we can go back to the original that they had in Miles Gaskin.
I
What do we
think
think about him? Do you
Gaskin.
think he's just pushed off to the side, or do you think what do you think about him?
I think Gaskin becomes maybe kind of a gadget player. Kind of he'll get a couple of catches a game. He's not a good runner, but he did have a couple times last year, especially that one game where he had 10 catches or whatever and blew up. He's pretty decent receiver. So if they can get him the ball in space here and there, I could see him getting maybe a handful of touches a game. The problem is Edmonds is also a very good receiver, so they're not going to want to take him off the field for a lot of those types of plays. So I really think it makes it like there's going to have to be multiple injuries. Yeah, like Derryberry said, there's going to have to be multiple injuries for him to be fantasy relevant. And if I'm in a redraft next year, I'm probably not going to bother drafting him at all. If I'm
No,
in a like a really deep dynasty, I wouldn't mind stashing him to see if he ends up somewhere else next year or something like that. But as far as this year, I really don't think he's going to be a factor at all.
my problem with that is of stashing him is if the Dolphins haven't trusted him, he's had multiple years to try to prove it, and he hasn't
Well,
been
it's a new
able to.
regime, so if he can come in and play under these new coaches better, there's a chance.
But will he get the
But
chance to do that?
even if he does or doesn't, like eventually he's going to end up on another team.
I agree with his receiving skills, though. I mean, he that's where he found most of his success last year was through the air. But
Mm-hmm.
again, you have Chase Edmonds, who is also very capable. So why would you downgrade to Gaskin when you have Edmonds in that position?
Only if Edmonds gets hurt.
Right. So yeah, if I think Edmonds has to get hurt for Gaskin to have value.
Yeah.
Yep.
For me, I'm not. He's a what was that say? Poof.
Yeah.
He,
Poof.
he's a 0 for me. He's irrelevant. I don't want anything to do with Gaskin.
Oh, he's a 0. I had Poof at kind of 1, but you're right. 0 is probably closer. I'll give him a 1.
Okay, we'll give him a 1. If 1 is the scale, I didn't know if it
Well,
was 1 to 10 or 0 to 10 because
yeah,
the
you can give him a 0 if you want to. If you just absolutely not, I'll give him a 1 just because there's some possibility there. And like you said, in super deep leagues, even if you're in a 16 team league with lots of stuff, some people have to go really deep. I'll give him a 1. And if you have Edmonds, I'll give him a 2. Maybe.
yeah,
I mean, it's gonna have to be a deep league. But I don't trust Gaskin there at all. And obviously they don't either. They wouldn't have kept bringing in more and more running backs even super recently. I mean, super recent that they brought in Michelle. So
last week, yeah.
yeah, so I don't trust him if the coaches don't. And now I think we've already alluded to Chase Edmonds obviously being the starter in our mind. I think in most people's minds, Edmonds, like Derryberry said, got the money. he got the pay, and so he's the youngest and most talented out of that group. I say youngest, not Gaskin, but Michelle and Mostert of the ones brought in this offseason. I trust his talent more. I think this is kind of his chance to be the lead back. I mean, he had James Conner. I think Michelle Mostert are going to take combined for kind of that James Conner role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like, but Edmonds was still productive, super productive, even with.
I don't think they'll get quite as much work as Connor did.
I agree. I'm just saying he's going to have to share that workload, but he still produced when he shared the workload.
Right.
So, of course, he had a dud in there last year, maybe two, but tell me a running back that didn't. I can't name one. So, I think that's expected, but otherwise, other than his injuries, his games that he sat out, he scored over 10 points, sometimes over 20. He did pretty good, and that's in full PPR. So Edmonds can produce, and I feel like they're gonna that offense is better this year all around. So he's gonna have more opportunities to produce. So I like Edmonds in that main role. Now the main question is, do all four of these make the final roster, or does one get released before the beginning of the season?
Man, that's a tough call. If one did get released, it'd be Gaskin. But because he has more of those receiving chops, I could almost see him keeping him on. But, he could be a healthy scratch a lot of weeks too until they really need to bring him up, for an injury to Edmonds. So
what is his – I don't know what his contract looks like. So Gaskin, Derryberry knows. Look at that. Gaskin saves $2 million for the Fins if cut. Because that's what I was thinking is which one gives them the most money back if they cut him. Because if Michelle and Mostert are cheap enough,
Well, that's the thing about something like Mostert being 30 years old. He's already going to sign a really team-friendly deal. And Michelle as well.
Well, and Michelle, just going off of like the last little spurt after their bye week last year, his receiving his targets were 1, 4, 1, 2, 4, 5, 4. So he finished the season there with a run of 4, 5, 4 just in targets, and that's before playoffs or whatever. So, I mean, they throw to him, you know what I mean? So
it makes sense for him to let Gaskin go. I'm kind of surprised they haven't already with all the signings they've had.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, go through camp, see if Mostert and Michelle just aren't doing too hot. I mean, I guess you're not going to be able to see if Mostert's doing too hot if they're hoping he's ready by week 1.
Well, the crazy thing is too, like you say, new coach, new system. Maybe they get in training camp and that was just what Gaskin needed. You never know. I mean, they can always cut him during training camp or during the preseason. Someone's going to need a running back at that point. So there's enough that they could sign him as a depth guy on another team. So
go muddy up another backfield for us.
Exactly.
We'll be talking about Gaskin another muddy backfield soon, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Probably so.
Also, I have to apologize. I'm going to be scratching a lot. I'm really itchy. I got a sunburn the other day, so it's got me all itchy, man. It sucks.
That's rough.
So now
I haven't had a sunburn in a while, man.
As if watching me already isn't annoying. Now, ugh.
Well, I'm still a little shifty because of the whole foot and knee thing. So
yeah, so we're just both jacked up weirdos.
It's a lot better than it was, but it's still I can't leave it in one spot for too long or it starts aching. So we're breaking down, Corey, like the straw man here.
We look like a couple tweakers on here.
We kind of do. We talk fantasy football.
You got any trades? Jeez, I feel that way sometimes for real though.
I do when it comes to trades. I'd be like, oh my god. I know we tried to work one today on and off, but I just got way too swamped at work, and guess we'll have to talk after this instead. But
I got one with Tony, and then he texted me about 2 hours later, and he's like, oh man, I can't stop thinking about trying to make another trade. It's so addictive. I was like, I hear you, man. And Kyle, you blue balled me today. We were talking trade, and then you left me hanging.
Dude, yeah. I mean, it was hard today during the middle of the day.
Man,
I had to pay the bills today.
you've been learning from my wife or something. I don't know what's going on. It's just,
I had to make money and pay the bills today, so
oh man,
trade
that's
didn't get
lame.
done. I know,
That's
right?
lame. Do we want
Can't
to
believe how
talk
much.
while we're on the Dolphins? Do we want to continue on to their wide receivers?
We can, since we're
Yeah, let's just
already
do it since we're on the down in South
talking
Beach.
about them. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say it's necessarily super crowded. It's just okay. Who do we think is going to be the guy? I guess.
Yeah,
Because they got Hill, Waddle. They went and signed Cedric Wilson.
who should be pissed? And I know I've talked about that in a previous week, but
Cedric Wilson was looking at the number 2 job across from Waddle there for a while, and then all of a sudden they trade for Tyreek Hill,
yeah,
and Wilson's number 3, actually probably number 4 behind Gesicki. So like for me, just the type of quarterback that Tua is and stuff, and the types of receivers that Waddle and Hill are, I really don't expect Cedric Wilson to have a fantasy relevant place on this team. He'll be much better for them in real life, I think, than he will be fantasy wise.
yeah, I can see that. I mean,
So
it's not like he'll be good and he'll have his good games, just like he did with Dallas. He had a good game here or there, where maybe he scores 2 touchdowns in a single game, but it's not consistent enough to where you're putting him in your starting lineup.
right.
I mean, maybe if you're in a 16-team league or something, but
if you're in a deep league like that, maybe.
Yeah,
I could maybe see that. But if you're
we're
in a
talking 10 or 12.
10 or 12 where you're starting 2 receivers and a flex, I'm probably not rostering this guy.
Agree. Absolutely agree.
And so, the other 2 guys, Hill and Waddle, everybody's been trying to figure out who's going to be the guy. And I really think, I know they brought Hill in, but he doesn't have quite the complete skill set that Waddle does. I really think Waddle ends up being the better fantasy bet based on their 2 skill sets and Tua's skill set. I really think that Waddle will be the one that you want to have over Hill in that offense. And I could be wrong. But when I'm drafting next year, that's how I'm drafting them.
Here's all I'm saying about Tyreek Hill.
He's a freak. He's the fastest kid alive.
This is not good.
He's the fastest kid alive.
It's true.
He's the fastest kid alive.
But is he going to outrun every ball that Tua throws?
I'm just saying, here's the thing about Tyreek Hill, though, is they don't necessarily have to throw him the ball to get the ball in his hands, right? They're going to find ways to get the ball in his hands with these jet sweeps, end rounds. Kansas City did the same thing. You're getting him the ball one way or another. And so I think there's more opportunity there than just catching the ball. I do think you're correct that Waddle, in a more traditional wide receiver role, has an advantage. And he just has that rapport that is just absolutely ridiculous with Tua. I mean, Tua and him just hooked up constantly. So I think Tyreek takes a pretty dang large hit on his fantasy value because I think this hurts Tyreek more than it hurts Waddle for sure.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. You're not going to get Kansas City value out of Tyreek in Miami. And also, not only do I prefer Waddle based on their skill sets and how I think they'll do, but he's going to cost you less on draft day.
Oh, absolutely.
You can get Waddle in the 2nd round or the 3rd round. You can get Waddle a whole round later than Hill is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Hill still got that name. And everyone thinks that this probably actually hurt Waddle more, and I disagree. I think it hurts Hill way more than it hurts Waddle.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm putting. Well, you want to do a little ranking on the Boombust there?
Yeah, throw me Waddle up at like a 9.
Yep.
And give me Hill at about a 7. He's still going to be good. He's still going to get some points. He's still the fastest kid alive.
Kid's a freak.
But yeah, I'd still rather have.
I'm going with Waddle at a 9, and I'm going to put Tyreek at a 7.5. That's the thing. I'm putting him at a 7.
Oh, I didn't know we could do half points.
Hey, we're making it up as we go along, man. We get
You're
to do whatever
changing
the
the
hell we
point. You're
want.
changing all the rules on me.
There were no rules. The first rule of Boombust is there are no rules.
Just
make
when
it
you
up as we
think
go
you
along.
know all the answers, they change the questions.
I tell you.
That's a quote Matty Daddy would have been proud of.
What's up, cockpit? How's it going, James? All right, let's see. What else we got? Hill 1 Boombust, Waddle 2 higher targets, CD Gesicki for less split out time and less targets. I'm trying to unpack this. Hill 1.
He's basically saying Hill's going to be the top guy.
With a Boombust, Waddle be 2 because he has higher targets. Cedric Wilson 3, Gesicki. I think Cedric Wilson is probably your third target there too. Gesicki doesn't get that much. Gesicki is so overrated, dude. I am so tired of hearing about Gesicki.
Actually, he's not overrated. He's underutilized.
Well, he's overrated as a fantasy asset.
As a fantasy asset, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
sure, I'll give you that.
Okay.
But as a player, he's definitely underutilized because he's way better than they get him the ball for.
Yeah. But also, though, this year could be a little bit different if they're having to spread that defense out so much to cover all three of these wide receivers. Maybe Gesicki gets some more opportunities there in the middle. That receiving core is going to be a little interesting.
It is. And also, all these receiving options, all of a sudden, that running game is going to open wide open.
It's going to be sick, man. I think the Dolphins have done a great job this offseason.
Did we even rate Edmonds? I don't think we rated Edmonds.
No, we didn't rate Edmonds. We just rated him the starter.
Because, I would love to have Edmonds at, a 7 or an 8 because he's not a must-have.
I would say a 7.
But with these, I think he's going to be very productive.
Especially at his ADP. I mean, he's going to go so much later than everyone else. So I think at his ADP, it makes him totally worth it.
Oh, totally.
I mean, if you could get Edmonds in your flex.
Between the old San Fran style system, the receiving core, Tua as a running threat, and Edmonds' own skill, I really think that Edmonds could have a really good season.
No, I agree. And makes a good point. The more you spread that defense out, the more opportunities for the running backs there too. So I like it. Yep. Alrighty.
I just remembered we didn't even rate him. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, good call on that. All right, let's move on to another.
Oh, we've talked about 2 and we're already at 9:30. Holy cow.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. That's the most muddy one in my opinion. So we'll move a little quicker now.
Finish up next week on some of these.
No doubt. All right. Next requested Packers receiving core. What a mess. And honestly, for me, that's a really tough one right now because it's mostly made up of rookies at this point. But if I'm gonna have one, there's my favorite right now is probably Christian Watson.
Yeah, I think that's everybody's favorite right now.
I like Christian Watson a lot. I don't think Lazard is necessarily a bad option.
I've still seen, there's some speculation they could sign someone like Julio Jones or something like that. I don't think that's really necessary at this point. I mean, they've got some pretty good depth. I think Watson's going to be the guy. But then you've also got, like you said, Alan Lazard. That other rookie they got, Doubs or Dubes.
Yeah,
I don't think we ever decided how to pronounce that. But Amari Rodgers, Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins. I think Sammy Watkins will probably end up opposite Watson. And, of course, Cobb will stay in the slot. And so, it's not Devontae Adams, but those are probably your 3 best bets for getting the most catches this year. I don't think I'd want anybody other than Watson without actually seeing how it shakes out, Because it's like, I mean, maybe they rotate all those other guys. Maybe Amari Rodgers, who they drafted before,
Forgot
comes
about
back,
Amari Rodgers. Yeah.
and like just goes crazy. Maybe it's him and Watson to the moon. I don't know.
Now here's what I'm gonna say though. About Lazard though. You want to talk about a little bit? He's got an advantage because he has that rapport, right? Because he's been there already. Here's how he finished out the last 5 games of the season in full PPR scoring: 20.9, 4.8, 13.8, 19.2, and 24.5. So 2 of the games were, well, I'll count the 19.2. 3 of the last 5 games were 20 plus points. Like, that's pretty dang good. Lazard coming on there at the end, but that was at the end after their bye week. So before that, he was very mediocre. He had 2 games above 10 points. So
Lazard could be kind of a post-hype type sleeper because he's kind of a bigger guy. And I know a couple years ago when he was like a rookie or sophomore, like everybody was really big on him, and then he never really lived up to it. So maybe now he gets his chance.
Yep.
So, but it's really hard to see until you get kind of in training camp and see how some of these battles will work out. But
I just think that the good thing for Lazard, or for all these guys, is that Aaron Rodgers has the ability to make multiple wide receivers fantasy relevant.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's the lucky part there. Kind of like when you've got Matt Stafford, he can make 3 fantasy relevant wide receivers on a team. That's good.
Yeah.
So Lazard, I like quite a bit. That's just a really tough one at this moment to call.
It is, but I think Lazard and Watson are going to be your safest bets if you're drafting early or drafting dynasty now. Those are the 2 that I think I'd be aiming for over the rest. Watson for sure.
Yeah, as soon as I saw Devontae Adams get traded, I picked up Lazard so freaking fast.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I blinked or took another breath before picking him up. It was so fast. But let's see what Swami says. What's up, buddy? It has been a long time. Doing good, buddy. Let's see. Yeah, he's got that chemistry with A-Rod and won't be sharing targets with Adams anymore. Yeah, I agree with that. But I think, obviously, I read off his last 5 games there. Even with Adams, he was finding success. So even if Christian Watson or something comes in and is successful, he's going to be fine. Let's see. Every game without Adams, Aaron Jones saw more targets and was lined up on the outside. Probably be the number 2 option. AJ gets the ground and pound roll. So yeah, let's go ahead with Mr. Sarcastic here. Let's just kind of roll right in there with those.
See you too, Mr. Sarcastic.
Yeah,
I ain't seen you around in a while either. I think I saw you on Safe Space when we did our draft, but
yeah, he's been cheating on us.
It's been a while. I know, man.
So okay, well let's talk about those 2 running backs. I know that's not a crowded backfield. I think that's typical, but just to touch on it really quick, I still like Aaron Jones for now more than AJ Dillon, but eek.
He's right though. Aaron Jones is going to get more targets because of all of this, and also not just because of Adams leaving. Well, it's because of Adams leaving, but not just because of who the receivers are, but because Aaron Rodgers trusts him with the ball. So short yardage and stuff like that, Aaron's going to get those, whereas Devontae might have got more of them in the past until someone carves out that super trusted role like Adams had with Rodgers.
I'm going to miss that connection, Rodgers to Adams. Not going to lie. It was so fun. It was fun to have on your fantasy team when I had it too. Ugh, beauty. I love it. All right. All right, Kyle, what's next on our list there? Let's move on to another team.
Well, let's hit this San Fran backfield.
Okay. Oh, you mean the backfield that just drafted another running back?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So you got Mitchell, Sermon, Wilson, Jermichael Hasty, and then they draft Tyrion Davis-Price, which I don't know a ton about Davis-Price.
I've heard good things, but I don't know much about him either.
But, you know, he probably makes Hasty irrelevant, probably makes Jeff Wilson irrelevant, if I'm being honest. So you got Mitchell, Sermon, Davis-Price. Is Sermon still going to be irrelevant this year? Does he improve with a full year in the system? Was he a wasted draft pick? What do you think? I don't know what to
No, I
make of the
think
Sermon situation.
for me, I feel like Sermon takes a big step forward this year.
Yeah.
I don't think he was. There's no way he goes from being
Was he a fourth
that
rounder?
good
Yeah.
in college to just being absolutely worthless in the pros. What hurt him was that on his very first carry in the pros, he got knocked the fuck out, fumbled the ball, hurt his
Sure.
neck or something like, and then had to sit out for half the year or something. Like, what a bad sequence of events. Like, he just, well, maybe that wasn't necessarily how that worked. I don't know. He had multiple injuries, but Swami's right. Sermon was drafted to take over the backfield last year. That was the goal, right? And then he got hurt, lost that, never really got it back. He never got into a groove of any sort. I mean, he only played in 3.5 games last year. Like, he barely even touched the field. Elijah Mitchell came out of nowhere. The issue is that it seems like most running backs can find success on that team, in that offense, right? So it almost doesn't matter who you plug in there. We can name almost anyone that's been there or is going to be there this year, and somehow they're going to find success, unless you were Sermon last year. And so it's like, is Elijah Mitchell really that good, or is this just a system that running backs can easily be successful in? Could be a little bit of both.
It is a little bit of both, because it's definitely a system running backs can be successful in, because Shanahan and his dad, like, they've always had really good running backs because of their system.
Yep.
And a lot of them have come from out of nowhere. You know, when you look back through the history of Shanahan running backs, there's been a lot of just guys that had pretty good seasons. So, you know, last year Sermon misses some games. Mitchell takes advantage and is playing like a bat out of hell. And so Sermon doesn't, when he comes back, he just doesn't beat him out and doesn't get that job back. Now, I don't think, and I
He
think
didn't even really get the backup role back either.
I think they kind of showed their hand a little bit when it came to Mitchell by letting Debo run the ball more. Was they don't trust him to be a full-blown workhorse, because he had some injury issues of his own. Mitchell did. So I could see them really rotating more between Mitchell, Sermon, and maybe now Davis-Price, and just kind of feeling that out and see who gets in a groove each game, which is going to be a nightmare for fantasy owners.
I would say, but it's Elijah Mitchell is the starter, and it's his position to lose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's going to have to lose it.
But I think he's going to be sharing a lot more than last year. Last year, everyone got hurt, so he was getting this workhorse load. If people can stay healthy this year, probably not the same.
Yeah, because like I think Mitchell's established himself enough now that if he misses time, even if Sermon has a good game, he's not going to take that backfield completely away from him like Mitchell did last year to Sermon. So I think Corey's frozen. Which is he frozen on y'all's end? Because that looks hilarious to me. Oh, we lost him, and now I've got a bar in my face. Well, hopefully he can get that fixed, because I can't do away with that without him on there. Albert, as far as Mitchell and Dynasty, I still like him in Dynasty. I still like him quite a bit. I mean, he's you know, kind of mid RB2, but I would be a little concerned that he'll start ceding a few more touches to Sermon and Davis Price, and at this point, I think Debo will end up sticking around. So he might, and then also Trey Lance. So I don't think he'll see him getting 25 touches a game like he did in some games last year. But, 15 to 20 still in the realm of possibility. Absolutely. Swami, actually, yeah, that was a comparison I was going to make before I was thrown off by Corey's freezing. And I'm really sorry about this bar in the middle of the screen too, guys. That's going to be distracting. Oh.
Whoa.
Oh.
Lost the internet completely, man. It just cut out on me.
Yeah, then I had a bar in the middle of my face when I was flying solo. I was like, well, that's awkward.
Sorry about that.
It's like I'm a boom and a bust here, just my whole head. It looked like it was measuring my face.
All right. I missed pretty much everything you just said, but you don't have to recap it for me.
No, I answered Albert's question about Mitchell and Dynasty, and I was just about to dive into Swami's question there. Treat the Niners like the Pats backfield. And that's actually a very good way to put it, which is a comparison I wanted to make. I think it's very much going to be like the Patriots. I think you're going to see Elijah Mitchell is going to be like your Damian Harris. I think Sermon will be more like your Ramondre Stevenson this year. And then Davis Price, I don't know a whole lot about that kid. Is he like a receiving back?
I don't really know. I have no idea. I wasn't expecting him to take another running back, so I still don't know.
Yeah, it's just I haven't I forgot what I read about him. There's so many guys I've read about over the last few weeks after this draft. I can't remember now. I can't keep some of them straight. Let's see. Well, God dang it, dude. This thing keeps jumping around on me every time I try to click something.
How do you even spell his first name? Do you know?
Huh?
How do you spell his first name?
Tyrion. Tyrion, like Game of Thrones.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Let me see. I'm just going to read a little bit about him here. Yeah, they added him due to injury concerns.
I don't think he's kind of a bigger guy. He's not much of a receiver, it doesn't look like. So I was going to say maybe. But, you still got like Jermichael Hasty or Jeff Wilson that could maybe jump in there and do some of the change of pace that you see from White, Taylor, and some of those guys in New England, which New England also drafted another running back we can talk about at some point. But, I think there are a lot of similarities there. I think Sermon takes that bigger role this year and could be more like that Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah. But this little blurb says exactly what we were saying with Davis Price, though. This system has a way of making almost any running back look successful. So if he gets his chance because of injury or something, he's probably going to come in and do just fine. Yeah, but at this point, he's
almost exactly like Mitchell, it sounds like. So he's not going to be your receiver type guy. I was going to compare him to James White, but he's not that kind of player. He's more like Mitchell. So
dang it, Swami got to it before I could say it. That's what I was going to say earlier. Backfield, along with Lance's mobility, the backfield is shy from. So my thing too is that Lance, the quarterback, makes a difference here, because Trey Lance comes in, his mobility, his running ability. You have some of that zone read going on. He does rush the ball more. It makes an impact. Mm-hmm. And so, let's rate these guys. Where are you rating? Who do you want to go first? Trey Sermon. Where's Trey Sermon on your Boombust scale there?
Sermon, I'm going to throw down at about maybe a 4.
Yeah, 4 is where I was thinking too.
I'm not super excited to have him. That could change. I mean, the closer to the season we get, if it looks like they're going to use him more, but just guessing how I think he's going to be used this year, 4 feels about right.
Who are we assuming is quarterback?
Lance.
Yeah, okay. That's where I'm thinking too. So assuming Lance is quarterback here. So yeah, I was gonna say a 4 for him as well.
Yeah.
So a good call on that. Let's go with Jeff Wilson.
I don't want Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, I'm
Give
gonna
me a
throw him
1.
at like I was gonna say a 2, but 1 or 2, 1.5. How about that? Price, Davis Price. I'm
Price.
I'm gonna put him down at about a 2.
Yeah, I'd put him at about a 2 or 3 maybe. Like if I have Mitchell, he rates higher for me because it sounds like he's almost a clone of Mitchell. Cockpit says over here, bad vision, guys like that don't last. I get that, but as a backup, he could stick around as a backup. He'll never maybe be the starter.
And who knows what that system? Again, that system just always does things.
As a similar, as a player that plays similar to the starter in front of him, I think maybe a 3 if I have Mitchell. I'd rather have. I wouldn't mind having Davis Price as a handcuff.
Well, Derry Berry says he's a 1 cut back, poor vision, all gas, no brakes. Seems like a fit for the San Francisco system. Yeah. Sounds like a gold line back too. If it's all gas, go. So hard to say.
And he's kind of a bigger guy. He was like 6'1", so it's like, he's
no doubt. All right, where are you putting Elijah Mitchell?
Mitchell, I'm going to throw up at like, I don't know, 8.
Yeah, I was thinking a 7 or 8. I'm not that high on Mitchell this year, which seems surprising, but for all of the aforementioned reasons, I don't trust him to be that workhorse he was last year, as long as other running backs are healthy. And Trey Lance at quarterback also worries me. That devalues Elijah Mitchell for me.
For me, it's probably more like a 7 than an 8, but it's somewhere in that range. I'm not like going to be super disappointed if I don't get him. But the thing is, like, you can get him pretty cheap in drafts. And he's also, like, he's not going to get the 25 carries a game he was getting last year, but he's still, 15 to 20 still in the realm of possibility because they run the ball a lot. And when he's healthy and when he has the ball in his hands, he's good.
Yep.
So I think he's still going to have some really good games. And I really think he's going to keep that goal line role, which is also huge. He might lose a few to Lance there at the goal line, but.
And I suspect they'll run Debo less this year.
Yeah, I think they will too.
So that also plays into his hands. Yeah.
Try to get Sermon more involved in that role instead, and then also like Debo's unhappy running the ball.
Yeah, between the tackles at least.
If they have to take away some of his carries to get him to re-sign, I think they'll do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I 7 or 8. I would like to have Mitchell as my number 2 running back still.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Especially if I'm going like receivers and tight ends early. If you can get Mitchell as your RB2 still, I mean, you're golden.
Swami says he thinks that's why they drafted a running back to satisfy Debo. I think they did it because they lost Mostert. They just need, with the injuries that their running backs sustain, I feel like they just needed as much depth as possible.
I just feel like San Francisco can't help but get excited about running backs.
Oh, yeah. They see a running back on the board pop a boner, and so it's just
exactly
they just can't help themselves. They cannot help themselves. All right, who's next on your list, Kyle?
Oh, let's see. You want to talk Buffalo backfield?
Ugh, sure. I don't think that's that crowded. I think you've kind of got 2 backs there now.
Yeah. it's just, I guess, the main question there is I've seen some things where people are thinking James Cook could actually take over instead of just playing complement to Singletary. So I don't necessarily think that'll be the case. I think, Swami, I know you love talking about some Bills. In fact, I'm gonna be hitting you up about some scout teams soon, buddy.
Speaking of boners, huh?
Yeah. Speaking of that, in fact, I'd love to know what Swami thinks about this backfield.
Yeah.
But I think they'll keep Singletary in that early down role, and Cook kind of in that change of pace receiving back role. I think Duke Johnson gets cut.
Yep. I agree. We've had that discussion. I think he's
I
gone.
think
They don't
Zach
have a need
Moss-
for him now.
Zach Moss, what's he on year 3 or something? Like, they'll let him play out his rookie deal. They may or may not cut him, but he's not costing them that much money just for depth. But
Yep.
yeah, we've talked about that before. I think
He's
Duke
familiar
Johnson
with the
would be gone.
offense. He's familiar with the offense. Like I said, rookie deal. Keep him around. Meh.
Yeah.
Who cares? Yeah, I think that Moss is easily number 3 on the depth chart. I think, like I said, Duke Johnson's probably gone out of there. I think that we're about to see a solid 1-2 punch with Singletary and Cook. I think that's what we should expect. I think it's definitely a 1-2 punch there. I think Singletary gets the start, but I think that's going to be a pretty good timeshare.
Yeah, I think by the end of the year, Singletary's going to start seeding, maybe not like the full workload, but he'll start seeding more and more carries to Cook as the season goes on. Pop Swami's deal up there on the screen.
Yeah,
that's kind
of. Not that one. Sorry, he posted another one. There we go.
Yeah, he is a smaller frame guy, Cook, and that's kind of the thing you got to worry about. Which is, so go along with me on this ride. So James Cook for Buffalo is kind of what they did with Michael Carter for the Jets. Smaller guy, could get a full workload, but probably not because of that smaller frame. And James actually said a minute ago he thinks the Bills will draft a running back next year. Swami's not happy with Singletary's vision. So maybe they go with Cook this year, and then next year they take their Breece Hall to come in and take Singletary's place.
It could definitely happen.
It's a very, very strong possibility.
Would you consider Buffalo a pass-first offense?
Yeah.
I would too. And I think that plays greater for James Cook than it does Singletary. For sure.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
God dang it, Swami. I didn't even see his comment about Buffalo offense as pass-heavy offense. God dang it. Taking the
That's the one you accidentally posted before the one I wanted.
That's funny. I was thinking it way before that even. Yeah, so it's a pass-heavy offense. So that's true. When I was talking about Duke Johnson getting cut earlier, I was like, well, if they pass first, Duke has more value in that offense as a receiving back than Moss being a not good at anything kind of guy. So
Moss is their Myles Gaskin.
Yeah, because I know when Duke got signed there, I was like, hey, there could be some value there in that offense being a receiving back. So I went and picked him up. Of course, I dropped him after James Cook got drafted. But yeah, so I think that's a good point there by Swami for sure. Let's see. Cook did line up in the slot at Georgia too. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure like even Najee Harris, guys like that, they lined up in the slot when they were in college and stuff. So you like those receiving backs like that.
Yeah.
So, and their goal line back, unfortunately, is Josh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I say bring back Frank Gore. Okay. Let him be your goal line.
It's like Cockpit says up there, they're like, Cook is a third down back on a team where the QB will run before he checks down. I mean, maybe.
For now.
But who's he had to check down to that was worth a damn?
Yeah.
So we'll see how that I mean, maybe that changes. Maybe they don't want Josh running quite as much.
They shouldn't. Not that Josh takes hard hits though. Josh is a big fella, so it's not like he gets really beat up. He's got the right frame for it. He's not a small guy. So, and he doesn't take a lot of hits that I can think of. So, let's see. Swami says, I really think you might see Buffalo try to push Cook to carry a bigger load. Think Cook could put on 10 pounds for the combine, not 100%. I would assume so. A lot of those guys get bigger like that.
Yeah.
So, again, man, this sunburn has got me itchy, bro. Good Lord, tweaker on here. So sorry, guys. Woo.
All them drugs. That's why you couldn't pay your internet bill. And you got thrown
Man,
off.
no shit. All right.
All right. I think we got time for one more.
Oh, hold on. Let's boomer bust scale them real quick.
Oh.
Let's go with Singletary first.
Singletary first. Give me like a 5. I mean, he's still starting running back on a high scoring team. It's just whether he'll last the whole season in that role or not. But if you're going late in your draft and looking for a running back, Singletary could fill a nice little role for you.
Yep. All right, now James Cook, what are you thinking?
I'd probably prioritize him a little bit more. Maybe more like a 6.5, somewhere in that range. Same thing, but in reverse. He'll start out with a smaller role and it'll build as the season goes, but you don't know when that'll happen.
Yeah.
So I
think James Cook I like a little bit higher, maybe more like 7.5 in like a PPR type league. Those catches give him kind of a boost right off the bat there.
Yeah.
But again, I think like you just said, you have to be a little patient for it. But I think in the long run of things, I want Cook over Singletary just because of those receiving opportunities. I think that's huge, especially in a pass heavy offense like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
Let's see. Swami says, let's see. Highlights I saw showed him shifty. Am I wrong on that? Yeah. I mean, I think he's shifty. I think James Cook looks good.
He's definitely a open field guy.
Yeah, I like James Cook, I think. And I think he landed in a pretty good spot, honestly.
I think so too. For his skill set,
pass-heavy offense, he did well.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, we got time for one more really quick.
Is there any? I just want to run to the chat and see if there's anything that they want us to cover specifically before we call it a night.
Yeah, that's a good call. So while y'all are thinking any specific team you want us to cover really quick on a crowded backfield or wide receiving core, yeah, he's shifty. 6 steps and cuts, but get a finger on it.
We're gonna have to do
because he's a smaller guy.
We're gonna have to do part 2 of this next week.
No doubt.
I had an entire list of teams that we could talk about.
We were talking about it last night. It was like
made it to like 5. So
yeah, you sent me a list of multiple, and I was like, and so
I didn't think it would take quite as long to talk about each one as it did. So
yep. Oh, Swami came in first, so let's do it. Seattle backfield.
I
like that one.
Yeah. Obviously the shiny new toy, Ken Walker.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak.
Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker, and then of course you got Rashad Penny, and maybe not Chris Carson. We don't know about him yet. I'm thinking probably not. I'm thinking the team's probably thinking probably not as well. Oh, Cockpit says Walker to the moon because he overdrafted him in our rookie draft.
He took him second overall.
We need to recap that at some point as well.
Yeah. We'll bring on. I think we bring on James and Tony and recap that after we do part 2 of this next week or something. So, I think you touched on it there with Carson. I don't feel good about his chances. I just don't. That's a serious thing.
Yeah.
And if I were Seattle, I would be nervous to put him on the field. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
and not from even necessarily a performance, but even just on a personal level of the responsibility of somebody's neck. I think that's tough to put someone back on the field after that sort of thing. So
Yeah,
I
sure.
don't think Carson, and if Carson does play, we all know he ain't handling any sort of workload.
That's true. He'll get a handful of carries and snap a leg off. So he's Mostert 2.0.
And then Swami said the same thing. Yeah, I mean, Penny can't stay healthy either. So you have two guys that aren't really staying healthy. I know Carson has that, you can't stay healthy type. What's the word I'm looking for? Doesn't even matter. Reputation. So he has that reputation, but now it's more serious than I think any of his other injuries. This is even more serious.
This one's different. Yeah.
And then you go pick up a guy like Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Who a pretty good running back. So you don't go pick up a guy like Kenneth Walker and don't plan on playing him.
Well, Walker will easily be the early down back. The things I read, I didn't watch a lot of Walker, said like he's okay as a receiver, not great, but he can be a workhorse there. Now, I think they'll still use Penny maybe as that receiving back, change of pace.
Yep, agree.
Until he gets hurt again.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Penny. You know, he's been in the league for, I think, 5 years now. And has he put together 16 games combined in those 5 years? I don't know.
I don't even know.
Swami's right, though. Bad QB in Seattle might limit red zone opportunities. That's true.
But does Kenneth Walker have the ability, like a breakaway ability, to be able to just create his own opportunities? We've seen running backs thrive well in bad quarterback play offenses too. I mean, it's a possibility. They're still going to have red zone opportunities here and there.
Yeah, but they still got a good receiving core too. So you got
quarterback play also check down. I mean, so there's more catching there too. So
yeah, I don't think Penny will take all of the catches. I think they'll both get some, but I really think they'll try to go ahead and use Penny as a change of pace and stuff. But Walker probably ends up being the guy.
Is Penny a receiving back? Penny doesn't get many targets. He didn't last year. I mean, the most targets he got in a game was 3. So I don't know. I don't know if that's really his thing. But when Penny had the chance, Penny produced. The problem is he only played.
From what I understand, it's a little more Penny's thing than Walker's thing as far as receiving, but both are capable. So Walker, Derry said it. I was just about to say Walker, I think, is going to have to work on his pass blocking before they have him on the field in those situations.
Got it. So, interesting.
But as far as Kenneth Walker, still put him up there like 8 or 9 for me. He's going to get a ton of work.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I like him the best. I'm going to put him about an 8. I like him the best in that backfield. That's who I trust to kind of be the guy. Carson, don't really trust him. I'm putting him down. I'm gonna put him down at a 1.
I don't want Carson.
If they let him play. Yeah, I don't want him. I don't trust him.
He takes one hit, that neck explodes into dust, and then what?
Dude, I don't trust it. And honestly, he should probably just think about retiring. That's crazy.
I would. He's made millions. Just go sit home and watch football.
Oh, here's someone we totally forgot about. DJ Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
And Homer. I mean.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I mean, they're talking about this pass protection. I agree with that, but you bring these guys in to
says if you think Walker's is bad, you should see Cook's. Yeah, that's probably true, but I think Cook ends up in the slot a lot too, or maybe won't matter as much.
Yeah. Okay, so then Rashad Penny, where are we rating him on this Boombust scale here?
Like a 3 or a 4, maybe.
We'll say a 3.5. I don't know. I'm gonna put him more at around a 4, probably.
I don't know.
Just
As a
'cause he
standalone
produces-
player, like he's not going to get you a ton of points. If you have Walker and Walker gets hurt, then you have him. Then yeah, all of a sudden he's
Great handcuff for sure.
He's
right?
a great handcuff. So,
But who do we think opens up the season as the starter? Probably
Walker.
Rashad Penny. Oh, Walker.
No, it'll be Walker. Yeah.
Okay. I figure they might start with Penny, knowing he would be hurt in a game or two, kind of like a Mostert situation.
Nah, I think Walker will be the guy from the jump.
Interesting. Take over that fast, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of thought the
I
same
think
for
so. I think
Javonte
so.
Williams, and look how that went. So it makes me a little bit nervous to jump on a rookie that we know is good. It makes me a little hesitant to jump on him as jumping up to the starter.
But Rashad Penny is no Melvin Gordon either.
Sure.
I think Walker's the guy from the jump.
Yeah. Yeah, the draft capital plus that backfield has been a merry-go-round.
Yeah.
He's gross. All right, buddy. We're
Yeah.
over time, but that was a lot of fun. It hurt that we spent 25 minutes on just Miami's backfield.
Well, dude, yeah, we spent the whole first half of the show on Miami.
That was a
between the
lot to
backfield.
unpack.
Well, it was the backfield, but also the receivers. So, like, Miami was the first half of the show. We wanted to change the name on the YouTube vid to discuss Miami and others.
Sprinkle in a couple others there. Discussing
But,
Miami's backfield and wide receiving core. For sure.
yeah, we'll have to – next week we'll have to – like you said, we'll get James and Tony on here. Maybe we can recap our Redux draft, and then I don't know. We'll just chit chat with them after that, and then after maybe the week after that, we can revisit and hit some of these teams we didn't talk about.
No doubt. Swami, thanks for popping in, man. It's been fun. No, take care of school. Take care of school for sure.
Yeah, appreciate you being here, man.
Until season starts, and then no excuses.
As well. Appreciate you being here, Swami, Mr. Sarcastic, Albert,
James,
Derry, and Cockpit.
Appreciate you guys. Yep.
Our ride or dies. Appreciate you.
I love it. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you next week. Oh, next week. Oh, hold on.
Whoop.
Next week, things change. We will be on at 10 p.m. Central. We are scooting back an hour. Safe Space is moving to Tuesday nights from 9 to 10 Central, and we'll be on 10 to 11 Central. So things will be a little bit different there. So Safe Space will be on to fluff for Boombust Interactive. No, I'm kidding. That's a bad joke. Just having to switch some things up, and so we'll be on a little bit later. So join us for that. Join 7 in Fantasy Football Big Guy and everything before that.
Join 7 o'clock at 9 o'clock.
All right. Well, what's funny is it's 7 o'clock his time, Pacific time. Yeah. So he's 7 at 7. And they're holding a big mock draft, like their last big mock draft with a bunch of pages and stuff. It's awesome. It's entertaining. You learn a lot in it. So do not miss that. Tuesday at 9 Central, 7 Pacific will be that. And then we will be on at 10 o'clock Central, and that'll be 8 p.m. Pacific. So
that's Safe Space with Myler Curry.
Oh, he doesn't look like Kyler Murray anymore. Got that haircut and all that stuff. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Dude's just trying to be himself, and I want Kyler Murray back. I'm just kidding. I already told him that too. All right, guys, for real this time, we're heading off here. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next week, an hour later than usual.